What is happening? Welcome to the Plus Pitch Podcast, the more pitching podcast from pitcherlist.com. My name is Nick Pollock. Today is March. No, it's April 6th. Oh my gosh. And yes, we're going to talk about baseball. We had Tomoyuki Sugano go yesterday. We had Tomoyuki performance indicators as the lead. And how did he do? Well, it was actually a really good performance. 5.1 innings, 1 earned run, 5 hits, 1 walk, and 4 Ks. This is the outline of Sugano as a Toby. He is not an overpowering fastball guy. He doesn't have absurd stuff. He's just a kitchen sink arm. Sometimes he has good splitters in there and some sweepers and cutters, and he's just trying to make it all work that he induces enough weak contact, gets enough outs in play to get through at least 5 innings, give him a chance for a win. That's what we got. We got the win against the Royals yesterday. That's nice, but we just got to make sure we don't overextend with Sugano, and we just think of this as a Toby. Okay, just think of him as a Toby. And when he plays against weak teams, we are okay with it. It's that simple. Chris Bassett had an amazing game against the Mets. 6.2 innings, 0 runs, 4 hits, 0 walks, and 9 strikeouts for a King Cole. 34% CSW. Look at that. Well, Chris Bassett isn't the guy he is last year. He's also not the guy that's going to go 9 strikeouts in 7 innings or so with shutout ball every single time either. This was just the kitchen sink stuff that we normally see. We should be happy with this. He could be a healthy eventually, but just think of a better version of Chris Bassett from last year and more like his 2022 self, and we're cool. Matthew Boyd, 6 innings of 0 runs, 5 hits, 1 walk, and 5 Ks against the Padres. Got the win. You'll love to see it. The slider is still lagging behind everything else, but the changeup, at least, which was up in the first start, it was a little bit more down in this one, and that's cool. I think he got away with a little bit. Playing in Wrigley against the Padres meant he didn't allow the home runs that we normally might see off of that four-seamer upstairs. But for the most part, yeah, Matthew Boyd, we're cool with this. We're fine. Unfortunately, he gets the Dodgers next. Don't go with that with the Dodgers. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense for your leagues to take that chance there. Cal Quantrill against Atlanta. Yes, he got a win. He's outside of Coors. That's cool. He had a moment last year where it was really successful with that splitter. I don't think that's going to be the case again. This was 42% strikes, and he had 1 whiff, I think, on the other pitches. It's just... don't do it. Don't do it. He's doing 4-seamers or sinkers is not really a good 4-seamer. Robbie Ray against the Mariners got the win. 6 innings, 1 earned run, 9 base runners with 5 walks and just 2 strikeouts. What happened here? His slider is normally the pitch for him. 1 for 23 whiffs with just 2 for 10 strikes. 1 for 23 whiffs between the curve and the slider, while the slider went 2 for 10 strikes. That is terrible. This was 4-seamers galore. They did enough against a weak Seattle offense. That's fine. The changeup, not really doing the amazing things that we saw in the preseason or really hoped would be there in season. However, Robbie Ray is not someone that just is what he is from the first or second game and doesn't change. I do think that we're going to see a better version of Robbie Ray as we continue to go. And the fact that the 4-seamer is still holding down the fort is great. So we're all cool here with Robbie Ray. Don't expect them to go 2 strikeouts. Don't expect them to go 5 walks. Things are going to be better moving forward. Mitchell Parker had a good game against the Diamondbacks. Got the win, 6 innings and 1 earned run. 2 hits, 4 walks, 2 Ks. Very similar here to Robbie Ray's line. I don't think there's much to get excited about. There is 19 inches of vert with that 4-seamer at about 93, 94. Really 93, I should say. And it is also at a decent amount of extension. He just doesn't really have too much. And watching him pitch in this is just so boring. It's just, okay, here's a bad one or this or that. And then he finally gets an out. It's not an exciting guy to watch. And I get the sense that, yeah, he's going to have these nights every so often when Koufax is there to help him. That means a low BABIP, and that's nice, but you don't want to rely on that. Griffin Canning against the Jays, 4 innings of 1 earned run, 7 base runners, 6 Ks. It's kind of typical, honestly, with Canning. There are these moments where he looks like he's going to do enough with the slider or the changeup, and he pulled back on the 4-seamer, and that's nice, that's good, but it's just not enough. So you don't really need to lean into Griffin Canning. And by the way, if you're wondering, hey, 37% CSW, that's higher than 34%. Well, it's because Griffin Canning threw 4 innings and not 5 that he wasn't eligible to win the King Cole for today. Speaking of 4 innings, you have Bailey Ober at 4 innings and 1 earned run, 3 hits, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts, and it was 84 pitches, which is why he left after 4. Now, the 4-seamer is still at 91 or just right underneath it, which is not the 92 plus that we saw last year. But this was generally better locations, and he was throwing against mostly right-handers, not left-handers, which is why we didn't see many changeups involved. And a high reliance on the slider isn't really what you want from Bailey Ober. You do want him against left-handers as much as you can because the slider is not as good as a changeup. But he did fine. He had some tough at bats here, threw more pitches than we normally see. After one start of him being absolutely sick, Bailey Ober is obviously taking a step forward, and I think we're just going to get better Bailey Ober with every start. We have Roki Sasaki going 4 innings and 68 pitches. It was 1 run, 3 hits, 2 walks, 4 Ks, so it wasn't harmful, but it's a sub 50% strike rate on the splitter, and otherwise it's just a fastball that doesn't do enough, and there's nothing else in between. That slider is not good. So, yeah, we don't like this with Roki Sasaki. I don't know. I'm not really in on holding him over guys like, let's say, oh gosh, what's a random name? Like Max Meyer. I honestly would rather have on my team right now than Roki Sasaki. I know it sounds crazy, but Max Meyer is giving me more. And Roki Sasaki doesn't have the same ceiling, I think, of like a 6 inning startup dominance with any sort of consistency at this point. You have Reese Olson against the White Sox. You could argue that I'd want him too. 6 innings with 200 runs, 7 hits, 3 walks, 5 Ks. His changeup and slider just were not what we want them to be. Now, I do like the fact that he's lowering his four-seamer usage against left-handers. That's good, 23%. Should be like 15, 20. That's fine. The sinker didn't have the greatest strike rate that it normally had either, but Reese Olson, I think, is going to be a solid play throughout the year. He's going to be borderline Toby Holly in your 12-teamers. You have Jack Ahanowitz, formerly the man, the jack of one trade, but now he's more than one trade after throwing just under 50% sinkers here. But it was 5 innings, 200 runs with a win, 4 hits, 3 walks, 4 Ks, as Kahanowitz saw mostly left-handed batters and not righties. And of course, sinkers against opposite-handed batters are generally much worse. So I can see why he pulled back a little bit, favored four-seamers and sliders more. And they're not spectacular four-seamers or sliders, but I get it, and they worked, and that's cool. Thanks, Kahanowitz. That's nice to see that you're able to adapt a little bit. The guy hasn't allowed like a disaster game. It's been kind of cool to see him actually succeed as much as he has. JP Sears against the Rockies got the win, 6.1 innings, 300 runs, 6 hits, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. It was in Colorado, so that's kind of better than I expect. That's nice, but I really don't want to chase him. Herman Marquez also was in that game on the other side, 5 innings of 300 runs, 6 walks. Whatever. We don't want to touch those Rocky pitchers, including Chase Delander, who I believe already has allowed 200 runs in the first inning, and it's not a guy you want to pick up. I'm just going to tell you right now, you could have seen it inside the Discord as I posted that, but Chase Delander, to me, is not a guy that you need to go and chase. Sorry for the pun. I didn't mean to do that. Aaron Nola against the Dodgers, 6 innings of 300 runs, 7 hits, 1 walk, and 2 Ks. Very close to a very poor quality start. It's against the Dodgers. We move on. I mean, he is under 2 miles per hour from last year, which isn't good. It's about like 1.8 ticks down, and that should get better over time. I think we've seen this volatility a little bit, or at least a slow start, I should say, from Aaron Nola before, but he gets the Cardinals next. Like, you're going to start him. Like, who cares? We move on. You have Brady Singer against the Brewers. This is an interesting one, and I'll tell you about Brady Singer against the Brewers and what we were supposed to do with AJ Smith-Shawver after this break. Sorry guys, I know it's live. I gotta stretch and yawn sometimes, okay? All right. Okay. Here we go. Brady Singer, 5 innings of 300 runs, 9 hits, 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts against Milwaukee. You still got to win. You still got those 7 strikeouts, but this is actually like 2023 and 2024 Brady Singer, like the same guy. And I don't like that because I was finally encouraged by Brady Singer. He had 4-seamers he was using a little bit more earlier on. He had changeups he was featuring. Like, this was a sign that maybe Brady Singer had figured something new out. And no, that is just not what we got. We only had 29% strikes on the cutter too, which isn't good. This was 10 whiffs. 10 called strikes on the sinker and like 6 whiffs or 8 whiffs on the slider, which is typical. That is who it was last year. So I'm not happy about that. And I do wonder if Brady Singer is going to be a little different and improved moving forward. So what do you do with AJ Smith-Shawver? 4.2 innings of 300 runs, 7 hits, 3 walks, 6 Ks against the Marlins. And what's so weird is that he's a splitter first guy now. Like, is that I didn't expect that. It was 74% strikes, okay. But the four seamer, which has good shape and it's good extension with verts and all the stuff that you want, 94, 95, actually, I believe 96. Well, it doesn't get spotted. He doesn't throw it well. And then there's a slider as well that doesn't get spotted either. It's the curve is just whatever. I don't like this. I don't think he's a developed and polished pitcher. And I think they had to rush him earlier than they wanted because Ian Anderson wasn't ready and Spencer Strider obviously was still hurt. Right now, Lopez, the whole thing is just, I don't want to do it. So I don't think you should be holding on to Smith Schauber in 12 teamers. You have Nick Pivetta against the Cubs, 3 innings of 3 runs, 6 hits, 3 walks, and 4 Ks. Everything didn't do well here, especially the curveball to right-handers. I'm so sorry. And he also threw rare cutters to both left-handers and right-handers that were kind of meh. He's getting more cut action also on that four-seamer. So maybe Pivetta has something cooking there. But I think about cut action. I think, oh, that's really good against opposite-handed batters. But against same-handed batters, you actually don't really want that. You want more arm side movement because you want the ball going into the batter, not away from the batter when it comes to your fastballs. That's just something that I'm seeing here. I'm curious if there's something to that. But with Pivetta overall, I think you still got to keep going with it. The Cubs are a good offense, but yeah. You have Jacob deGrom, 5.2 innings of 4 runs, 8 hits, 0 walks, and 3 Ks. It was just 1 earned run with 2 outs in the 6th, and he allowed a 2-run shot, and the next base runner got on and got pulled, and that guy came through. It's weird, 3 Ks and all, but he's still doing 97-mile-per-hour fastballs in the 6th inning. This is a weird one. I think all is fine. We move on. You have Michael Wacha, 5.2 innings of 4 runs, 6 hits, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts. He had a larger emphasis on the cutter, 42% CSW. That's cool. And it's just one of those days. I think that Michael Wacha actually threw pretty well, and it just didn't go his way. It's all right. We keep the course with this ship. Bryce Miller, a little different against the Giants. He's had 2 good situations, one in Seattle and one away from it. This one was 5.1 innings of 4 runs, 7 hits, 3 walks, 4 Ks, really carrying over the narrative from last year that just he doesn't do well outside of Seattle. And what is cool is that he did experiment a lot with everything but the four-seamer. But the four-seamer that normally is still there, it was only 12% CSW. That's not the four-seamer we want it to be. I think that Bryce Miller over time becomes the guy that we want him to be. But yeah, it's not good right now. He's not a finished product, and that's just kind of how it is. Tosh Bradley against the Rangers. Remember being so excited about his cutter precision that we saw in the first start that carried over from his development last year? Yeah, it wasn't good here. And he had a really tough first inning and then settled down a bit for 4 innings after. 4 runs in the first, and then scoreless for 4 is what I should say for Tosh Bradley. 7 Ks in that, 4 walks. He's a hipster. Oh, I don't want him to be a hipster. Please tell me this is the blip and not the consistent blip. Eduardo Rodriguez had 12 strikeouts. I know. Really, really weird. 43% CSW on his 92, 93 mile per hour 4-seamer. Not something you should expect. The changeup was better spotted to right-handers. That's good. This is not something that you should anticipate for Eduardo Rodriguez, and this was against the Nationals. I think you're still going to do it, I guess, with Eduardo against the Brewers, but yeah, no, this is not the kind of guy you're going to get. Marcus Stroman, 4 innings, 4 runs. Don't start him. Davis Martin against the Tigers, 5 innings, 7 runs. Don't start him. Elvin Rodriguez, 5 innings, 7 runs. Don't start him. This is easy stuff, guys. Bailey Falter against the Yankees. Yeah, don't start him. 4 innings of 7 runs. Spencer Arrighetti against the Twins. Well, that's a little different because Spencer Arrighetti should be better than 3.2 innings of 5 runs, 3 hits, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. And the 4-seamer tried its best to compensate because everything else with the Pasta Pirate, that is all of these secondaries that he has, just abandoned him. Nothing was reliable. So that's weird. I'm going to say it's weird, and we just move on. But it is a little disheartening to know that, yeah, Arrighetti still has work to do. So it goes. And last but not least is Tanner Bybee, who had the gallows pull at 16 whiffs and that 36% CSW. He would have gotten the King Cold if he went more than 4 innings. And it was 4 innings of 7 runs, 8 hits, 1 walk, 4 Ks. Why? Because he allowed 4 home runs. Oh my gosh. All of those were pretty much over the plate. It happens. And remember his first start, he was coming off of being sick with food poisoning. And then this is him just kind of getting his groove. he's going to be much better than this. When you see 16 whiffs and a 36% CSW and you have a bad day, so it goes. Like you know that the quality is there. It's just baseball is baseball. That is it for today. Thank you all so much for listening. And I am so excited to be able to do these at night during the week. So tonight's podcast for tomorrow morning for Monday through Friday, those podcasts are going to be coming out in the wee early hours of the morning. So looking forward to that. But that is it for today. So my name is Nick Pollock, and may your BABIPs be low and your strikeouts high.